Hey, I'm Chef D. Not only do I love serving food, I love being around a table. I love a great conversation, and I love finding out more about people, what makes them who they are. So join me at the kitchen table with me, Chef D. Hey, it's Chef D. Welcome to my podcast, At the Kitchen Table. We have an amazing young lady with us today who looks after making sure my hair stands up nicely and looks great and does a great job. But you have an amazing story, Miss Lina.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Give us a little bit of background. Like, you are not from North America, but how did your family and why did your family come over?
I was born and raised in Baghdad, Iraq, and in 1995, they decided to immigrate out of the country into another country. And at the time, we really didn't know exactly where we would end up. So the journey took about 2.5 years, and we ended up in Canada in the summer of '98. And it was quite the journey. So that's, why does anyone immigrate, really? It's just a lack of stability, looking for a better life. My dad had 4 kids at the time. So you pretty much do anything to make sure to provide your children a good life. And I'm very glad that Canada was our home, or that it is our home. And it's been an amazing 25 plus years since we've been here.
So how old were you when you first came over?
14.
Wow. And then I know. So, entrepreneur, you own your own business. You own different properties. What got you into hair?
Grade 11 spare at 11 in the morning. So when you're in grade 11 and you've got a spare at 11, that's dangerous. That means you can skip and never go back to school that day. That's the honest truth. So I just filled a class with hairdressing because I didn't want to work hard. I wanted to take my spare and put an elective in it that was easy. Well, little did I know that it would be my career. That's the honest truth.
And so you started at your spare. You took the elective to start haircutting. And now, how did it go? Because you've done competitions throughout the world.
Yes, so it all started with once I was able to take a hairdressing program at St. Mary's High School here in Kitchener, the hairdressing class. Then we were able to, as students, we were able to attend and compete at the Skills Ontario competitions, which is it's an international organization that promotes trades. So there's over 120 trades. It all comes down to your region. So you enter these competitions regionally, and then if you win, then you go to the provincials, and then if you win, you go to the nationals, and if you win, you move on. So in grade 11, I basically was asked if anyone wanted to compete at the Skills Ontario hairdressing competitions. And so I put my hand up, but I didn't know what the word compete was. So I said, I'll do it. Yeah. And I said, well, I don't know what that means. She says, just stay after class. I'll explain it to you. So, putting my hand up for something that I didn't know what I was signing up for. But I thought, hey, if a teacher asked us to do it, then it must not be a bad thing, So from that point on, I started experiencing hairdressing as a competitor. And then I started working for a local salon in the region. And then after working with D at Diva, I was able to attend a lot of competitions and enter a lot of competitions. And eventually I was just doing really well and I was winning. And then I started, to do international events and I started winning international competitions. And basically it really all just started with putting your hand up. And I think that's always what I always tell people, like, just put your hand up, just show initiative and you'll end up somewhere that you never really knew. Yeah.
Yeah, I love your story. I just love your story. And so then how long did you work for D for?
5 years. And then I opened Artline.
So what made you decide that, hey, I want to open my own business? What crazy idea gave you that you wanted to open your own?
That's just it. I mean, it must have been some kind of a, I mean, really, there's no story there either. It was just that I
Yeah.
really liked what she was up to. And so I always looked up to the people that mentored me. And at the time, she was it. You know, she was a property owner and a business owner and a mentor. And I was really inspired by her. And, you know, when you're a young immigrant, you kind of look to the people around you to be inspired because, you know, my parents were busy raising us. And then I just looked outside of my home for external drivers, and it was the people that I was hanging out with. And at the time it was her. So then when I moved on and I opened Artline, you know, I knew that there was only one option, which was just to make it. Like people are like, oh, were you afraid? Were you that? I was 23 years old. I had no idea what I was afraid of, but I knew I just needed a pair of scissors, a chair and a mirror and someone to sit there. And it's fun because when you do something like that and you put yourself out there, people recognize that and they support you. And I find that that's something that's so this region, the Kitchener-Waterloo region, is super supportive of business owners, of people that start different ventures. And if you do it with integrity and you're honest about it, people will support you and the support will, you know, expand. So that's sort of the story, really. There's not a lot behind it other than an opportunity came up. I took the opportunity. And I'll be honest with you, it's not luck because luck shouldn't be as much work. You know, it's just hard work. You just show up and things happen, but you gotta work hard. So it's not luck or I don't know. I just really always make sure that people know that, you know, it's just showing up and being passionate about something.
100%. I don't believe in luck at all. I really don't. I think you put yourself out there, and you create the buzz and everything around there, and away you go, right? No, 100% I agree with you. I was going in a different direction, but that that direction just went through.
Yeah, that's okay. You and I both.
How long have you been with? I know how long, but for the listeners, how long have you been doing Artline now?
16 years. Yeah, this year.
Wow. And you have your own location, you own your own building, right?
Yeah, yeah, that happened during COVID, which was a blessing.
Why do you say that?
Um, COVID just shattered everything I ever knew about hair, really, the way we worked, the hours we put in. Um, we had restrictions. I never dealt with that before. So then, unfortunately, during COVID, some businesses closed, others moved out and went into their homes. So then the building that was in the Belmont Village region went up for sale. And I remember I had a friend who was an agent who called me in May, 2 months after the pandemic started. And he's like, oh, I want you to come and take a look at a property. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm not interested. He's like, just put on your shoes, get dressed, let's go. I said, all right. So here we are, May,
Yeah.
roads are empty, restrictions are out there. And I show up in Belmont Village and there was this beautiful little property up for sale. And the landlord just said that her tenants closed their businesses and just moved on. And she really didn't need it anymore. So she put it up for sale and I was able to get it right away. But I had been looking for a couple of years for something of my own. It goes back to, to Dee or Diva, she had her own building that was inspiring. I knew that as a self-employed person, that was the only way that I could maybe have some kind of future as a retirement plan, all that good stuff. Because as self-employed people, we don't really get the pensions that, everyone else can get and stuff like that. So anyway, we worked really hard at saving our money and putting the right steps forward. Of course, it takes a lot of different steps. Like it doesn't just show up, and it all just happened. And I saw it in May. We closed on it in July, and we moved into it the following year. Yeah.
For, entrepreneur, dreaming, you're 23 years old, you have a new business, you don't know, we don't know, and I can attest to this, is that, where we're headed. And so did you have some good people come alongside you and give you a hand along the way?
Yeah.
Or did you kind of, or have you kind of thought out the process or put a process in line that said, hey, this is how I'm going to go forward with this, or I need these people on my bus, quote unquote, to get me to the next level?
I'm sure you want to hear me tell you that I had a plan, but no, I mean, I
No.
always just worked 1 month at a time, 1 year at a time. I didn't, people talk about business plans. I always just look like a deer in headlights when people start talking about those kind of stuff. I never had a business plan, but I did have people that I would always ask questions and they would answer me. And I would always wonder what my options were. And I would just put myself out there and just talk to people from the bank and talk to people that own properties. And I just ask a lot of questions. It's always been the person that I am. And I learn by listening. But I knew that if I did the right thing and put all my effort and of course, my team, of course, is a huge part of this. I mean, Artline wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for every hairdresser that cut hair and colored hair at the salon, because when a bank looks at you and they want to lend you any money, they look at who you are and the history of your company. And if you're not going to put the proper finances together and claim every dollar that you make, and again, those are the things that I always talk about when I talk to young business owners is do your paperwork with integrity, because if you ever want to go far, you're going to have to show up that you're worth it. So people don't lend you money if they're not going to see potential in your business. You know, like I said, there's a lot of process behind everything that I'm talking about. But yes, I just asked people questions and I learned, and I attended business seminars and took coaching sessions, because the information's out there. You just got to seek it out. And for anyone who wants to learn more about it, just talk to me, reach out to me personally. And I put myself out there because someone helped me learn it. So I'm always very open. In fact, actually today, one of our friends opened a new salon today. So I'm going to go see her after this meeting, and I'm going to meet with her and sit down and say, okay, now let's get you ready to own your own building in a few years, because I think it's the right thing to do, you know, and just be your own boss and have a good team and be a good landlord and all those things. I don't know if that's the answer to your question.
No, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. And for those of you who don't know how we kind of came together, is that I was looking for somebody to keep my hair spiky and you know, kind of fit in what Trish and I were trying to make as ChefD. And I remember the first time sitting in your chair and Trish being there and go, this is how it's going to be done, you know, and you're talking to somebody who's very creative, you know, and that's you. How'd that feel?
Which
I know
part?
you and I have talked about it.
Meeting you or being told how to do your hair?
I told how to cut my hair.
Well, I was like, this woman means business. I'm not messing with her, you know. Well, actually, this might lead us to another topic. Like branding is really important. And so all that Trish was saying to me is, hey, people try to change his brand and his image is part of his brand, and don't do that. And I really respect that, because your look, your haircut, the way that you wear shorts all the time. I don't even think you realize winter exists in Canada, Mr. Chef, but like you're always wearing shorts. That's part of who you are. And, you know, I'm not about to change that. And yes, as artistic people, we always like to do our own thing, but there's always, you know, someone's image and someone's comfort zone and someone's brand. And it's really important to honor. And so that all that really Trish did is just solidify that for me. So I didn't have to come up with all kinds of crazy things for you. I wait for other clients for that.
You know, one of the truly nice things that not only do I look forward to coming and get my hair done, but is that we have some really cool conversations in that chair, you know, and one entrepreneur to another, one business owner to the other, one person that's trying to make it. I just love that time together and that honesty that we both have, that, you know, there's some days that I might not say anything or you might not say anything because we're having one of those days. And then there's other times where it's just like, yeah, I'm going to bounce this idea off you because I respect you, you know? And it's been a glorious relationship. I just, again, not only just do I love coming in to get my hair done, but it's just nice to talk to a fellow business owner.
That's right. And sometimes it can be really lonely, you know, when you're in that position. And who works with you, who talks to you about your problems and our challenges. You know, you're dealing with the team, you're dealing with guests, and you're dealing with the reality of life today and financial struggles and everything that comes with business ownership. We wear many hats. So sometimes when you come in and you don't feel like, you know, being in a conversation, I really appreciate that, because sometimes, you know, I solve a lot of challenges with my own thoughts behind the chair. Like sometimes if I'm not talking during a haircut, I'm being creative and really enjoying the process, but I'm also talking to myself about some of the issues I might be facing. So But then sometimes I ask you questions that I just want the honest truth, and I want a bold opinion, but I don't want any judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think everyone that sits in that chair offers something really different, whether it's comfort or excitement or talking about, future plans. But with you, you're right. There's just it's like, I get it, Yeah.
The role of your parents, they took a chance coming across the ocean, coming to a new land, probably didn't speak a lot of English when they came.
Mhm.
How do they feel about your success and what you're doing?
They're very proud. I mean, at first they couldn't understand all the traveling and all the competitions we were doing. But when I would FaceTime with them or show them the medals and all the trophies I would win, they started to understand, hey, this is really cool. And then I didn't realize it until one day we were at a wedding and my dad whipped out his phone and he goes to pictures and he shows his buddy, who I don't even know who his buddy was. And he's like, look, this is my daughter. This is her. And it was just so cool to see that my dad finally was proud than confused about it, right? Because when you're a new Canadian and you've got 4 daughters and you come from a world where, when you're old enough, you get married and have kids. And here's his daughter traveling without a family, without kids, not married. He just couldn't. He was like, you already have a business. You're already working. Why are you doing all these extra things? I said, Dad, I love it. He just looked at me like, all right. But then he realized it's a passion, because not everyone is lucky enough to have a passion for their job. I know that they did what they did to make ends meet, to raise kids. So he didn't always understand, well, if you're already working and you have income, why don't you just do the rest of the things that you're supposed to do as a woman, Find a husband, get married, have kids. But it took a while, and now they're, now they have a grandson from me. So now they're I did give them a kid after, 25 years of being in Canada.
Okay, so the last question.
Yeah.
What's your best advice to a young person, entrepreneur, business owner? What's your best piece of advice for them?
There's a couple. Someone once told me, if you ever see a winner on the podium, don't ever wonder how they got there. Just go up to them and ask them. And that's really what I do. And that's what I ask everyone to do. If you ever see someone in a position that you want to be in, don't sit there. Don't Google it. Don't try to figure it out with your mental gymnastics. Just go up to them and say, hey, how did you do what you did? And you never know, if you put yourself out there and you acknowledge your fears, because fear of failure is real and fear of rejection is real, but they're not real in the sense that a bear is chasing you. They're just made up in our own heads, So if you acknowledge that you might be uncomfortable, put that aside, find someone you care about or someone that inspires you, and hopefully they're someone you can reach out to and just be like, what did it take to get there? Everyone has a little journey that they'll go on that's different than everyone else's, but there's always something to learn, when you're listening to how someone got there. That's really the biggest advice, is get out of your head, get out of the internet, and go and actually physically meet people and talk to them. That's my biggest advice to young people today.
You're a rock star, young lady. I've always looked up to you. I think you're one of the coolest people I know, and I know we're friends outside of everything that we do. But thanks for spending some time with me today, and thanks for sharing your story.
I appreciate that. And the young lady thing might end up expiring soon, because, I'm not that young anymore. I'm officially...
Well, you're still a lot younger than I am.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that.
Anyways, thanks again, Lina. We'll talk sooner than later. Dinner real soon, okay?
Okay, thank you. Have a great day, Chef.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye.